One. Hey, Frank, I'm so glad to have you with me here today. And
There you
how are
go.
you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, good. So let me ask you, we have been talking about probate for a few sessions already, and I just wonder, we talk about, in order to get a probate done, you can either do it by yourself or an attorney. Let's say that I choose to hire an attorney. How do I know, or how do I go about hiring the right attorney for this job?
Uh, I like the way you worded that, Gary, the right attorney,
Mm-hmm.
because that is such a great question. So, um, so yeah, the assumption there then is that you're going to hire an attorney. We've talked about the pros and the cons and when you absolutely want to hire an attorney. And there's three ways of hiring an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
The first way is you basically call the California Bar Association.
Okay.
And a lot of people do this. A lot of people go on Google, they type in attorneys. The California Bar spends a lot of money to pop up to get your attention right away. You call the California Bar Association,
Mm-hmm.
and they will recommend somebody to work with you.
Okay.
They typically will recommend somebody who has a background in probate, which is good. That's the upside.
That's what I want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want. The downside is that from what I've seen is they will refer from anywhere geographically, meaning that you could be in LA County and they might recommend an attorney from Ventura County, which is
Oh.
okay. I mean,
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, you can do a Zoom call, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to go to that person's office. But and maybe it's just me and maybe I'm just a little too touchy-feely, but I think that when I'm at least for the first conversation I'm going to have with somebody, I prefer to have it in person.
Okay. So
And
that depends on who then, right? Who's well, in your preference would be in person. Maybe
at
somebody
least at
else.
least at least the initial meeting. Like I
Hmm.
said, technology is there where I mean you could pick somebody in 500 miles from here,
Hmm.
and it still would work because the technology is there to service uh, that need.
Exactly.
Um, but if you wanted to meet with somebody here locally, at least initially, then that's not the best option. Option two is you ask friends, relatives, hey, I need an attorney. Who should I use? This is where it gets a little bit challenging because there are a lot of attorneys out there in state of California. One probate attorney that I work with told me that less than 5% of all of the attorneys in the state of California are probate specialists.
Less than 5%.
Less than 5%. And
Okay.
so meaning that if somebody gives you a referral, there's a
Hmm.
95% chance that they're an attorney other than probate.
Oh, okay. So it looks
And
like
that's
referrals are not a good option then.
Say it again.
Referrals are not a good option
I,
for
I
to
think that's the
get.
worst. I think that's the worst option, Gary. And the reason I say that is because everybody knows an attorney. Very few people know a probate attorney.
Yeah, that seems to be very specialized.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So that would be the second option. And the third option would be to call us.
Hmm.
Because I've compiled a list of local probate attorneys that specialize in probate. And the
Hmm.
reason that, Gary, that's so important is if you pick an attorney, we're talking about referrals. You pick an attorney that somebody referred to you, let's say a divorce attorney. You
Yeah.
call that a divorce attorney, you say, hey, you handle my brother's situation. He was very happy with the job you did with him. I need help with probate. Can you help me? Guess what they're going to say?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah. That's like
Yeah.
somebody calling you. That's like somebody calling you, Gary, and saying, Gary, I need help with a probate transaction. Can you help me?
Yeah, of
What are
course.
you going to say? Of course
Yes.
of course you're going to say that. And that's true for any real estate agent, even if they've never done one probate in their life, which is most agents, by the way. Most agents have
Exactly.
never closed a probate transaction. But they're still going to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the challenge with attorneys is I'll give you an example. I recently had a very recent transaction with an attorney who was who essentially said, I know probate, this is my area of expertise. Um, we got started with the transaction, everything was fine. It was a case where the person in charge, the family member, had full authority. With
Okay.
full authority, if you think back to previous conversations we've had, full authority means you get to decide everything.
Yes.
No one gets to um no one gets to look over
Second
your
guess.
shoulder and say, are we, is the court okay with this? Is the attorney okay with this? The family has basically decided we're happy with one person, let's say Gary in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's the administrator for the estate, and he has full authority, meaning the family has full confidence that Gary's going to do what's best for the family.
Correct. So one
So
person,
now
no votes. It's just whatever that person says goes.
whatever that person says goes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a transaction, full authority. We sold the family wanted to sell the property. The family needed the money for the property.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, there were some family members that lived in the house
Mm-hmm.
that needed a place to move to. So, and then there were other family members that didn't live in the house that needed the money as well. There were some medical issues with some of the other family members. So there was an urgency
Mm-hmm.
to
To
selling
sell.
the house and selling it quickly. Full authority, we get the house sold, and the attorney said, well, we still need to get court approval on the sale of his property.
Yeah.
And this is where it makes my job difficult because I wanted to say, no, you don't.
Oh.
What I did ask is I said, hey, I'm just out of curiosity, the administrator, they do have full authority, right? Yes, they do.
Mm,
So this offer that we just got and they want to accept, we could go forward with this, right? No. And I said, well, but wait a minute, but I thought we had full authority. Well, yeah, they do.
okay.
So then we could go forward with the sale if the administrator says that they're happy with it and they want to move forward, they want to close.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not okay with that. I want the courts to approve the sale. So basically, that person handled it like a limited authority transaction. And we've talked about that in the past also, about how much
Oh,
time it adds to the
yeah.
transaction and just how basically you're giving all of your authority to the courts. You're letting the court look at everything you do and then say yes or no. So, and
Oh.
I couldn't tell this attorney, Mr. Attorney, you are wrong. We can close on this sale. The sellers want to close this sale. The sellers need the money to close this sale. There's a great deal of urgency in getting this house so into escrow and closed now.
So
And,
what ended up
and
happening?
what do you think?
We waited for the court. You guys still waiting, right? Or you
No,
guys
no,
close? Oh,
no, we did finally close. But the bottom line, Gary, is there were some delays that were completely unnecessary.
Mhm,
The family members, I'm not exaggerating, family members were losing sleep over this because it was taking so long on
mhm.
something that we could have closed months earlier. And the
That's
bottom line,
unfortunate.
Gary, is right. And the bottom line, Gary, is I couldn't tell the administrator, hey, your attorney is making a really bad decision for you. I did my best to tell him, hey, you have full authority. You're in charge. You get to decide yes or no on this sale. You're the boss. You hired this guy. This attorney works for you. Unfortunately, because most people don't deal with attorneys on a regular basis, it's intimidating.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be. It could be you're dealing with an attorney and the attorney's saying, no, this is how we're going to do things. It's almost like going to a doctor and the doctor says, look, here's what you have. This is how we're going to treat it.
And
I
that's
mean,
it.
you're not a doctor, so you're not going to say, well, no, I disagree. I mean, you could, but you're probably not. It's the same situation. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with attorneys, most people are intimidated or at least feel uncomfortable challenging them. And then when they make bad decisions that will slow things down, it they back down.
I see.
So that's why I'm saying it is so important to pick the right attorney to make sure that they understand the process, because that could have saved not only time, but literally, some emotional grief on the family's part, because they were forced to go down a path that wasn't necessary, but it
Mm-hmm.
was done anyway. Personally, for me, either because it was lack of experience on the attorney's part, or just being completely conservative also, on their part. And I think when you're being really cautious, it's because you're afraid of making a bad decision, because you don't make these decisions often. And because of that, you take the conservative route, and guess who pays?
The consumer, in this case, the sellers or the
Yes,
heirs of the state.
yes,
So
yes,
it goes back
yes.
to experience then.
It really does. It really
Yeah.
does. It really does come back to somebody who does this every single day, knows the process. By the way, I called an attorney that I do a lot of work with,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and I told that attorney the scenario, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, am I missing something?
Uh-huh.
Why can't we close on this sale?" And the attorney said, "You got a problem, my friend." And I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "One, you're right. Two, if you tell the attorney that you're right and he's wrong, your
Mm-hmm.
life is going to be hell. So sorry, I can't help you.
Just,
And you're just going to have to deal with it."
just,
And that's what we did.
just
That's what we
accept it.
did. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, it just is, having the right attorney will save you time, it'll save you grief. It will make your life easier. It will make the process easier.
Awesome. Frank, our time is up, but thank you for sharing this insight and
Ah,
any last advice when it comes to
so
this
wow, I was just getting started, Gary, just getting warmed up.
well, let's
I
say
got
this though.
I
If
got
people
I
want
got
to
I got a lot of stories.
I bet you do. That's why we continue with this, and we have it in bite size. So, if people want to get a hold of you to talk about, their situation with the probate, how can they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is by phone, 626-289-1111, or you can always go to franklopezbroker.com.
Awesome, Frank. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you in the next time.
Talk to you later, Gary.
Bye bye.